One thing that Mavis talked about was connecting and love and how that was her mission. And she spoke to her organization and I was flabbergasted. I went, really? Like connecting is what you can do in the world and it counts?
You are about to listen to part of a series where every month a leader from our community shares with us a little about themselves, how they came to find out about the ACL Global Project, as well as what drives them to do the work that they do, and perhaps even a bit about their hopes and dreams. This is the ACL Member Spotlight series, and in today's episode we are featuring Isabelle Favreau.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isabelle Favreau. I'm a retired educator. I'm 68 years young, and I live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. I've lived here for 30 years, and living on the prairies was different for me from the beginning. They call Saskatoon land of living skies, and it's true. There's a lot of space here, and the hardest thing I had to get used to was the space that people take when they're interacting. I kept wanting to move closer and they were backing away. So I've adjusted. The last year of COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands. I was getting in touch with this longing that I've always had in me to want to connect with a community. Somewhere along the way, I listened to a mental health summit, and Mavis was on this summit. And I can't remember who was interviewing her, but it was the most intimate interview I had ever heard. I was really pulled towards what was different about this. Usually, the person who's interviewing asks the questions and there's a response, but Mavis really engaged her, gave her feedback on her question, and asked her what her thoughts were about it. This woman seemed to be a real sensitive soul, but she was totally engaged with her. I just thought, wow. Um, it was like, um, it was like coming home a little bit. One thing that Mavis talked about was connecting and love and how that was her mission. And she spoke to her organization and I was flabbergasted. I went, really? Like connecting is what you can do in the world and it counts? It's always been, connecting for me, connecting with people, just being a presence of love and compassion is who I am. But I never saw that who I was and what I believed in so passionately about, but it was worth going for, worth saying, that's what I want to do. I am a loving presence in the world and I can contribute in that way. It was a good feeling. So I had to get a hold of her and I did. She welcomed me in and the rest is a learning journey here. It's taken me a long time to articulate who I am and why I'm here. And one of the phrases I use is a loving presence. I don't know where I remember this, but maybe it was Terry Pat who talked about loving presence has four relationships. There's four kinds of relationships of love. So acceptance, like loving the mystery, so love in the mystery of life, the love that has to do with yourself, which means self-care. I think he used the word radical acceptance and radical responsibility, and love towards each other and loving the planet. For me, ACL, so far anyways, that's what I'm seeing. So ACL it's like I've landed again. It's a lot like the Republic of the Heart in that it's about changing the world a little bit, helping the world get to a new, different consciousness. being able to love, because that's where it's at, right? I know that the space that ACL creates is for me as an individual and a member is that it's a place that I feel should be honored and protected. I think the guidelines that are created, people have to willingly accept that as really good. As a member too, I think I have a responsibility to be my best self in terms of communication, of being a good sounding board and listening well and communicating understanding and some love. Also, being a member of ACL is about taking responsibility. So when you're working with people, there's hurt feelings. You come away making up stories, and for me, it's about being really truthful, coming forward and saying my truth, saying how I feel, and clearing it up. And those are basic things that I think are important when you're part of a community. A few years ago, um, there was a number of deaths in my family in a very short amount of time. I was lucky enough to follow a few of those members as they transitioned. Death is ugly sometimes, it's painful, but there's also those moments of intimacy, of love, of caring. And after the people passed away, I had this sense in myself, this longing came back. And I wondered, maybe I could work with people who are dying. I thought I just have myself to offer. And that's all I said. And I just kept going. I ended up volunteering, and it continues to be a wonderful experience. I feel so honored, a part, just a s- to play a small part in a person's life as they're transitioning. I worked with an organization was called Hospice Without Walls. That's people deciding to die at home. So all the resources come to the home for the person who's dying. But what I recognized was the primary caregiver, how they didn't have much resources. And they're the ones that bear the brunt of caring for this person. I really thought it would be a wonderful thing if we could organize a support group, but I didn't know how to go about doing all those things. The Hospice Without Wall was just starting, and they didn't want to go there. But yeah, if I value my worth a little bit, and I think ACL is anchoring that in me a little bit, that would be something I would want to learn and work on within ACL. So I would start up something at hospice. I would go to those people and offer myself. I'd have to come up with some kind of proposal or whatever, but I would like to start in small communities. I think I would want to do that, and it would be exciting. Yes. Well, I tried most of them and sort of threw myself in there. I love the meditations, the 15-minute meditations once a week. They nourish me, and I love being with Mavis and the group. I attempted in the beginning to answer all of those deep questions. I found them so worthwhile, but a little bit overwhelming, and was happy to hear that Mavis, because of that feedback that people couldn't do it all, started these, I don't know if they're master classes, but where she addresses those kinds of things. And they're really poignant for me. There's so much learning there. The fact that I really didn't know what taking on a membership meant. I just saw the word visionary and I thought, okay, but now that I know being a member at that level, you have access to so much. Really, if you had to pay for all of that, I wouldn't be able to because I'm interested in all of them. So I think that was a good move to do that. I mean, it's inclusive because there's different kinds of memberships and we're all included. But for me to be able to give in terms of scholarships, that speaks to me a lot. So as long as I can, I will do that.
That was Isabelle Favreau, and this is the ACL Member Spotlight series, where every month we feature another one of our outstanding leaders of the Awareness, Courage, and Love Global Project. Created, edited, and produced by Miko Cardenas.